Da, da, theme song, theme song. Da, da, da.
I'm Tanya,
I'm Nikki.
and we're 1,000 Eyes in 1, the podcast.
It's Sunday.
It's Sunday. It's Wheel of Time.
Mm-hmm.
Wheel of Time, Season 3, Episode 4, The Road to the Spear. For previous episodes, find us at thousandeyespod.bsky.social. On YouTube, you can find us at 1,000 Eyes in 1 Podcast. If you'd like to follow us on social media, we are 1,000 Eyes in 1 on Instagram and Facebook, 1,000 Eyes Pod on Blue Sky, and if you're interested in our speculative fiction book club, follow Wine on an Empty Stomach on Instagram. This was an intense episode.
It was. Yeah, it was an intense episode. The first time I watched it, it's not that I didn't think a lot happened, but because so many things have kind of been fast-paced and action-packed in a different way that actually felt, I don't say that actually felt dangerous, because obviously people don't come out of Viridian, but
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, it just felt slower to me. And then when I watched it again, like I kind of caught things that maybe I didn't process the first time, because there were just layers and layers and I mean, we were walking through the multiverse essentially.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so much, so much I didn't expect to see also.
Let's get into it.
Mm-hmm.
We start off with this conversation with Lan and Rand, and they're talking about Rand's dad, Tam, and how he was a blade master. And we still don't know what's up with Tam.
Yeah, where is he?
Well, we know he's gone hiding the Ibarra family, but I mean like the blade master part. Like that hasn't really been addressed.
Yeah, it's like saying, "Oh, I'm a spear maiden," and then just walking away, and we never find out what that means. Never see them again.
He had a heron marked sword,
Yeah.
and now we know that really means something. And they
Mm-hmm.
still haven't told. I mean, I'm assuming they will at some point because it came up again. But
Yeah.
like, I really want to know.
Yeah, and it seems like he's of a different bloodline. So it makes me wonder, like, is he like Van Helsing? Is it passed down? It makes me wonder if the ability to make these swords is passed down through generations. Like, how is there, I was gonna say a coven. Is there an apprenticeship?
The heron marked sword is one power made, so it has to be passed down.
Yeah. But then what happens when they kill a Forsaken? Like, are there a certain number of blades, one for each Forsaken?
I don't know if it's specifically for Forsaken. I think it's
Hmm.
it's just a special blade that are given to a certain type of blade master.
Yeah.
I think the fact that it can kill a Forsaken is like a separate thing.
Yeah, maybe they didn't know. Valerian
Maybe.
steel.
'Cause I mean, when they were making these in the beginning, they didn't have Forsaken.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. They are older than the world.
I want to know what's up with Tam.
And the whole Ibarra family. Like, I'm glad that you took them away, but how come them and not like, you know, Matrim's sisters and mother?
Well, her husband is one of the people who helped get them away. And remember, the
Mm,
White Cloaks were specifically looking for Perrin.
yes.
They weren't looking for anybody else. Moraine is quite testy
This bitch.
at this point in time.
Like, why are you mad?
She was being really rude. And I
Yeah,
get there's a lot at stake. There's a lot on her plate.
they're hot. They're hungry. They're just like so much going on. And she's just like, I didn't want to come here in the first place. And now I find out that this is exactly where the fuck we're supposed to be. But nobody's giving me any information. And you got to remember, she's a spy. She's used to having the upper hand as far as information goes.
She's also used to people just doing what she says.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not working here.
Aes Sedai privilege.
Aes Sedai privilege. We learned so much about the wise ones.
Well, we learned so much, but I also want to know more about them. Like we find out that Avienda was called to be one, and she was like, "Nope."
Let's talk about the wise ones. So we know that the wise ones have foretelling. we
Hmm.
know that the wise ones can channel.
Yeah, that was a fun surprise.
Yeah. And so they're saying that Avienda was called. So does that mean Avienda can channel and they know?
I wonder, because we didn't see the other one. We haven't seen Mullane channel, but we saw Bear do it. And when I saw that, I just like watched the look that Moraine and Egwene gave each other because they didn't
Uh-huh.
know either, you know? They thought like maybe a wise one is probably similar to a wisdom. Um, but clearly there's a lot more
There's a
going
lot more
on
going
there.
on. Let's go back a bit. Avienda is deeply anti-sword, and
Hmm.
this episode has just given us so much information about so many things. And so one of
Yeah.
the things we find out is why Avienda is so anti-sword. What did you think about her little sparring session with Lan?
I was here for it. I mean, I hoped that something like that would happen. I felt like eventually she would have to, you know, she's someone who likes to fight, clearly, and she's someone who takes her duties as a spear maiden really seriously. And, it's good to find somebody that you can spar with and
Somebody who might be able to beat you.
who might be able to beat you. Because, Rand is no contest. She knows that. And
No.
she's not going to fight with her other people because they're like, whatever, nah. But an opportunity for like Lan, and Lan saw it. The look on his face, he was like, all right,
He
let's
was
see
so
what you got.
sexy.
Especially, I know, especially after he told Rand, he's like, okay, this time I'm actually going to try,
Yeah.
So to see him like break a sweat was
Hmm.
super, super
And
hot.
it wasn't clear if either one would win, and I love that.
Hmm.
They were very evenly matched. Anyway, Avienda has to enter Ruidian.
The look on her face when they stripped her.
She was so sad, and I felt so bad for her. This was something I knew that was coming
Hmm.
from the books. And so like I knew that the wise ones could channel, but it was still really cool to see it get revealed and
Yeah.
in the way that it did. And Avienda, I want to see what she can do because if she's been called, then they've
Hmm.
seen something.
They've
So
seen
either
something in
she's
her for sure.
foretelling or whatever.
Yeah.
In any case, she's accessing the one power, and I wonder if she has used it at all since we've seen her.
Yeah. And maybe it's something that's given her the ability to fight the way that she does. Um, it makes you wonder that if she is a channeler, I feel like no matter what she is, she's going to continue to be fierce, you know?
Absolutely.
But it makes me wonder, like, with that personality and with that resistance to becoming one of the wise ones, like, is she going to have a similar learning path as Nynaeve?
Mm,
Like, oh, I have this power. This is not what I was meant to do. That I mean, I was called, but I want to do this, blah, 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 like that vibe.
yeah.
And it would be interesting to see that parallel in the desert with the person who's actually traveling or maybe getting to travel with the dragon. And how
The
do you
c-
reconcile that, like from being like, oh, I didn't want to, like, I went to do this. I knew I had to. I brought him back, like, as a warrior. Um, and now, like, do you face an existential crisis? Like, what now? Are you still useful in this way? So, I'm interested to see how she deals with that.
I got a little bit annoyed with Rand this episode because of the way he was treating Moiraine.
Mm,
And when he says you've never tried to help me, I
yeah,
wanted to
that part.
slap him a little bit.
Yeah, that part I was like, hello, didn't she bring you out of the two rivers to save the rest of your family? And hasn't she been like kind of like sure she's been annoying and she hasn't been giving you as much information. And now you're trying to assert your independence, and I get that, but don't say that she hasn't protected you
She's done nothing
or
but
helped
helped
you.
him.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, do you want to
And
use
your
me for the
friends.
right? You want to use me for the tower's ends?" And it's like she's the only one who's kept you from all of
She
it.
could have brought you to the tower when you were in Tarvalon. She could have just been like, "Oh, you know what?
That's literally
Fuck
what
this."
the end of season 2 was about. Was
Yeah.
Suan wanting to bring him to the tower and Moiraine being like, "That's not the path."
How quickly
So
we forget.
how quickly we forget. So he was kind of annoying me. I was like, "Stop whining, you little brat." Like you've been through a lot. I get it. You've absolutely been through a lot, but like she's the
Yeah.
one person who has been trying to help you.
Like I get that, like I said, I get you trying to assert your independence and like stretch your wings a little bit, but don't be rude.
It just reminds us
Don't be
he's still a
rude.
kid.
Yeah. He's a wee baby.
So all clan chiefs and all wise ones have to enter Ruidian.
Yes. And not everyone
They
returns.
do not all make it back out.
I love knowing that because it felt like the stakes were higher. Because
Hmm.
we started hearing about this Ruidian like this episode and maybe in the end of last one. I don't remember if we heard about it, but I it's always nice to see people go through a trial because you never know what's going to come up for them, because you're always going to be haunted by demons in this space. I'm thinking about, remember in Avatar: The Last Airbender, that episode where they were lost in the fog and
Hmm.
everybody saw like the things that they feared the most. And so when I
Yes.
saw the fog on the ground, I was like, oh yeah, this is one of these situations. And it makes me respect everyone who has made it out the other side a lot more, like their intestinal fortitude, if you will.
To me, it was like a direct parallel to the Arches.
Yeah, that too. That
Yeah.
too. I was happy to see that type of tradition is something that happens cross-culturally, and I also want to know if that's something that happens in other cultures. Like, do the builders have something similar? What is
Mm,
their trial like?
right, right.
It seems like this might be something that Loyal might be coming up on if they do have something like that.
Yeah. I hope we get to see a steading.
Hmm.
So when chiefs make it out of Ruidian, the ones who do, they are marked by this cool ass golden dragon tattoo up the forearm.
Hmm.
And
I've never wanted a dragon tattoo until I saw that one.
and they're
Like,
called, we find out that the Aiel are also called the people of the dragon. And so it's like, okay,
hmm.
this is like feeding more into like the prophecy. We're
Yeah.
getting more meat.
Yes.
So this is his army that they've been talking about. The Aiel
Hmm.
are his army. And the Karakaran, it says, will be marked twice.
Yeah.
At this point in the episode, where was your
Hmm.
head?
I mean, I knew that he was going to come out with two no matter what happened because
Hmm.
he is the dragon. We are only in the middle of season 3. And like in my brain, I was like, oh yeah, he's totally going to come out. But something that, as you were saying, is marked twice, I'm like, well, this is balance, you know? Like this is the ability to do things that other people can't do and to understand and access the one power, um, the way maybe a savior is meant, not necessarily someone of destruction, but like Avienda was saying, like you're not going to save everybody. You literally cannot. Like people are going to die, but understand that the people who are going to die are willing to die,
Yeah.
you know? So they know that this is their part to play.
We meet some of the Shaido clan that was mentioned. In particular, this guy Kuladin, who is clearly trouble.
Mm-hmm. Can't wait to see his face get bashed in a little bit.
Yeah, and his brother who went into Viridian and as we see is not making it back out.
Claw out your eyes, Oedipus. Claw them out.
Did
Um,
you notice when Kuladin angrily says he's not one of us and
mm-hmm.
Rand is like my mother was Aiel, Bear corrects him and she says
Mm-hmm.
your father.
Father was.
And now I'm like, well, what was his
Who was
mother?
his dad? And well, we see, but like, what was his mother? Where did she come from? Was she a wetlander who made it there somehow?
Because she was
Is that,
clearly a spear maiden.
yeah. Um,
But like, was she born somewhere else and like brought to the Aiel? Is that part of the prophecy?
like heron, golden heron tattoo back.
Yeah,
They found her and she
right.
became one of them. So maybe that's a situation. I have to say, like this scene, there were many little interesting details and tidbits that were dropped, but I was so distracted by like the other lady's giant hat because I was like, bitch, are those braids? And then she stepped closer and I was like, I love the texture of this headpiece that you have on.
It reminded me of a rattlesnake. I was like, this is
Mm.
very desert.
Yeah,
She was also gorgeous.
gorgeous. Gorgeous. I need more scenes with her.
Savannah, that was her name.
Savannah, yes. Oh, that seems very fitting. It suits her.
Yeah, she was gorgeous, haughty. I liked how haughty she was. Like, oh, my
Me?
husband's dead.
Yeah.
I've married his son. It's like,
Right.
oh,
It's like, and if he dies in there, I'll marry his brother. Yeah, it's just it's I also like seeing the tension between different clans because the woman is there, but she's not a wise one,
no.
you know? There's a level of respect that the wise ones command, and they're quick to remind you of your place if
Yeah,
you overstep. And we're just talking about like how Moraine is expecting to receive that same treatment, but like you're not on your home turf, homie, you know?
right.
Learn the ways. Like this is how it works here. But it also makes me wonder, like, does each clan have a wisdom? Is there like what is the hierarchy of clans?
I think that each clan probably has their own wise ones. It seems like the clans are pretty independent of each other. They each have their own clan leader.
Mm. But why didn't they have a wise one with them?
I don't know.
Because somebody has to grant you leave to enter Ruidian. Well,
Well,
two people. So did
he
they do
didn't
it?
have leave. Couladin
Oh,
didn't have leave. His brother
well,
did.
yeah. So I guess they're like, okay, you guys all go be his support group.
Yeah,
Maybe you'll come back. And I
maybe.
like how they respected, like, oh no, you can't go in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if they just got like zapped by lightning, like right after passing the like the
The
spear
spear.
wall.
I think we'll probably have an Egwene centric episode because
Yeah.
Bear told her that their paths do not align. She tells
Hmm.
her he needs to find out what he is and you need to find out what you are.
Yeah.
And
Dreamwalker Academy.
Dreamwalker Academy, it'll be interesting. I think that Egwene by herself won't be like a full episode like we had with Rand.
Yeah. No, I think it'll be a split between whatever's going on somewhere else. Like
Yeah,
maybe we see Leandrin again. Maybe we get caught. Oh, you know what? We need to know what our Red Aja girl is doing. So
which one?
Egwene and Elida.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. What's going on there? And I guess that means we'll also see whether like Min has just revealed that she's following them yet.
Oh,
Like, hey.
yeah. God, there's so much in just like a few episodes, right?
Yeah.
Women step through the rings and the men step through the glass columns. The women see their potential futures
Hmm.
and the men follow the path of their past, of their ancestors.
Can I just say that when I saw those columns spring up, I know that I was supposed to be odd, but I kept thinking about that Head and Shoulders commercial
When the hair comes
with the
up, I
hair.
thought about that too. I
It was
actually
like the
thought
guy
about
with the
that too.
luxurious hair and those little poofy things that are supposed to be dandruff. Fun fact, if dandruff can also be caused by washing your hair with water that's too hot because it dries out your scalp. So keep that in mind. I learned that from a hairdresser.
No weapons are allowed in Ruidian, and considering
Hmm.
this seems to be an Aiel thing, it makes you wonder. And of course, obviously we find out,
Yeah.
but she said that it's to honor the last true Aiel, and that had me perk up too. Like, who are these last true Aiel? Like,
Yeah. And what are you who are y'all imposters?
it's like every line just like had so much to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every line was important. Like you had to really watch this episode. Like you couldn't be scrolling on your phone or else you would absolutely miss
I
important
know.
things.
I tried that. I kept rewinding.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we learned who that was. And we'll get to that, but yeah. I love places that have really strong traditions, but I also love to see when people push back against them because they're like, why are we still doing it this way? And the fact that anyone who wants to be a leader has to, I mean, we're talking balance again, right? You have to
Right.
know your past to see where you're going, and you need to see the future to kind of help rein that in. Um, and so the wise ones and the clan chiefs, they have to work together, but it seems like you're also not allowed to speak about any of it when you come out.
No.
So, like you
Unless it's
communication
to
is important.
somebody who's been in it.
Yes. So. Looking forward to that. You know what? Also, it's like I also when they walked in, I got the feeling, or maybe it was obvious that like, Maureen asked, and she goes in too, and they
Hmm.
go in together. And you ever have that feeling when you're like out with your parents and like the last thing you want is to be seen with them? You kind of want to walk ahead or walk behind them. So
Yeah.
you're on your like that's kind of what was happening with Rand. He was like, "Oh my God, just leave me alone. Like we know that we have to face this. We know that we're not going to be experiencing the same thing, but like can you just leave me alone so I can be afraid by myself?" Whereas
She's like the mother hen to him right now.
mother hen to him, but also I think that, she doesn't always admit that she's scared or she's nervous because he says, "Are you ready?" She says, "Are you ready?" And he was like, "No." And then he just walks forward. And meanwhile, she's making small talk about dry fog and shit. And he's
Right.
like, "Girl, go be nervous on your own time. Like, I know that this is my destiny. I have to do this. Let me
Speaking of
prepare."
destiny, we find out the Aiel War was started because of Moraine's uncle's vanity.
Messy, messy bitch.
And Rand being born on Dragonmount was because that's where Uncle Moraine was killed. And so they've been connected since before he was born, but he seems bitter about that.
Yeah, well, because he can't shake her. Their fates are tied together. So whether or not he wants to hang out with her, like they're going to keep coming back to each other. And just like imagine starting a war because you wanted a cooler chair than everybody else.
And cutting down like this historical, beautiful tree of life with like
The
this
tree of
history,
life. Cut,
and you cut it down to make a
cutting down.
throne.
I mean, but this is what happens when you cut down a tree of life. You end up with so much death on your hands, and you're the one who's responsible for it. And I wonder, like, how much time has passed, or how much time passed between, did she say 3,000 years? Or no, the tree of life is 3,000 years old, but how long ago did Uncle Moraine cut down?
About 20 years ago.
20 years ago. So
Because
how
that's
long did he
about
have
how,
it before then? I guess
right,
is the
that
actual
that
question.
is that's the question. I don't know how long they had it before, but I would imagine a long time.
Yeah,
If it was
to
enough
probably to the
tree
point where it
to,
like long enough that it passed on and into myth, like the
right,
significance of it, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Like I imagine it's been there for generations. We see how small these saplings are, so for it to be enough tree to create a giant throne, because I'm assuming it was a big throne. I don't think he's
Oh
making like a
yeah.
little throne,
No,
he's not making a
no.
little chair.
He's not, melding the swords of his enemies. Yeah, no, he wanted something super grand, like what I picture as the Iron Throne from the books, but like made out of wood. Or like that big ass tree in Fern Gully. It was just like hollowed out and able to sit on it. And yeah, these are things that she didn't tell him, obviously. And I'm like, oh, here's Maureen for the first time, like volunteering information about herself.
Right.
I was like, well, who else are you going to trust now? Now would be a great time to build trust. You literally know everything about Rand. Um, and he doesn't know anything about you, and you want him to confide in you and stuff, but he has no reason to trust you. Like, not on that intimate level.
Yeah, maybe not on an intimate level, but I think he shouldn't have so much hostility towards her. I get being wary, I get being scared, but I feel like he's like actively hostile towards her.
No, he just sees her as the catalyst for everything that's changed in his life. Maybe not understanding that this shit was going to happen to you one way or another. Like something was going to force you to leave the two rivers, but it's nice to have a scapegoat, I
Yeah.
guess.
I'm like, she's been keeping you alive, dude. Like working
Hmm.
really hard to make sure you and your friends live. Except for that Landfair night. But he doesn't know she had anything to do with that.
Not yet.
As we enter, we see Muradin clawing his eyeballs out. And so that doesn't bode well. And then we get into the visions. And so, of course, I was like, what the F is Muradin seeing that has him clawing
Mm-mm.
his eyes out? Or is it all the screaming
Is
or
it screaming? Reminds me of
something?
Matt a little bit. But just like, I think it's just
Oh,
like, what did you see?
speaking of Matt, in the books, he enters with Matt.
Oh no shit.
and we get to see what Matt sees.
Oh, is
And
that a
that's like
spoiler?
it's I don't know,
Okay.
because
Okay.
Matt goes through his own kind of trial.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it
That's
would be
really
spoilery to
interesting.
talk about, but
Like
yeah.
maybe the way they got around that was by showing us all the possibilities of his death
Oh
that
yeah, in his past
Ishmael told him.
lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that way you get an element of it without having to send him through with Rand.
Hmm. Yeah, that was the thing I remembered was that Rand and Matt were together. There was like a fountain that Rand brings back to life using the one power. Like there was,
Oh,
it was all this
cute.
stuff. It was like a city when in the books when they go in, it's like a dead city.
Oh, well, it is a city, it's the city above the clouds. And my first thought when I saw it was how long ago was this an active and bustling and beautiful place? Because I'm seeing technology, you know?
Yeah. And later in the episode when we see the clouds get formed, that city's already dead.
Yeah.
First vision, Rand as his father fighting on Dragonmount. What did you think?
I was happy to see that they were loved, that they were lovers. Rand was conceived with love, it looks like. Um, I love to see that both of his parents are warriors. So he comes from a line of like people who are fighters. And, seeing the despair on his father's face when he finds her, you
Yeah,
know, I feel like I don't know how long you really want to hold a dead body and cry into it, but I've never had to experience that before. I mean,
same.
not really. Um, to see him after that and for him to keep saying, "We're not oath breakers, we're not oath breakers." I'm like, what oath did you guys break? Because
Right.
clearly that came from somewhere.
I have to admit, I did not even consider Rand's father this whole time, his biological father. This
Yeah,
whole
I just like
time.
it was Tam in my mind, and then I just kind of let it go at that.
But his biological father, who potentially could have been alive because this is only 20 years ago,
Hmm.
lost his whole family because the baby's gone. Somebody took his baby.
Somebody stole his
I just
baby.
didn't even think of that.
And what kept him from searching for that baby?
They probably thought an animal took it.
Hmm,
Why would you think a soldier took the baby?
that's true. That is true.
Like she gave birth, it's clear. You see, she bled to death, and there's no sign of the baby anywhere. Like,
Yeah, and no one was around to be like, "Oh yeah, she had a kid." It's just like the one person. Um, how did that work out? Did Tam know the prophecy? I'm trying to think
no,
of why he absconded with the baby, other than to like protect the baby.
he just saw the baby. I think he just saw a baby, helpless infant, and he's a good guy and
Yeah,
figured I'll just take this baby. Maybe he assumed the baby didn't have a dad, but I just had not considered like the other parent, like
right.
missing his baby.
Yeah.
Like, Tam, you kidnapped him.
Yeah, but maybe he was just so grief-stricken that he didn't even think about that. Because the baby's a new person. The
Who's
wifey
grief
is old.
stricken?
Um, Daddy Rand.
Tam?
No, no, no. Bio dad. Yeah.
I meant like Tam taking this baby and not considering there might be
Oh,
another
right.
parent. Like, you just
Yeah.
kidnapped a baby, dude.
Yeah, I mean, he did. He he did, and he just ran with it, but it didn't seem like that battle was going well anyway.
No. And I guess you couldn't just leave it there, and they would have killed him if they saw him anyway.
Yeah, they would have definitely killed him and the baby just be out here screaming in the cold and, you know, that could lead them to be in a tactical disadvantage.
Because I thought, like, what if he stayed with the body, but they would have thought he killed her? They wouldn't have been like, oh, he's trying to save the baby.
Mm,
Probably would have just
yeah.
thrown a spear through his neck immediately.
No, I mean the desire to live is really strong, so you take the baby and you keep going.
Yeah. I felt so bad for Rand's bio dad because he's lost his child and his wife just
Mm-hmm.
at the same time. And now I want to know what happened to him. Is
Mm-hmm.
he dead? Is he alive? I'm
Are
assuming
we
he
gonna
must be
encounter
dead.
him?
Well, I was assuming he was dead because he's not there to like meet Rand.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wouldn't,
Because Bear knows who his
yeah.
father is.
Yeah. Huh. But she doesn't say that he's dead.
She doesn't say that he's dead.
Yeah, maybe we'll encounter him in like another season. I feel like it'd be too soon this season to see
That
him.
would be so complicated.
Like I can't process that emotionally.
Yeah, that'd be really complicated. Next vision, we see the first visitors to Ridian, all these clan chiefs.
Hmm.
And I realized that that spear wall was not just like a nice little fence. It
Yeah,
is,
I
those
love
are the
that.
spears of the chiefs who did not return.
Yeah. Well, she says that. She's like, if you don't come back, like they'll be here waiting for you when you come back,
Right. I
if
just
you
didn't,
come back. But it was nice to see the first one put down.
yeah, even though she
Yeah.
said that, I just didn't consider that like this wasn't just a wall that was built. I
Yeah.
didn't consider that. I didn't
Yeah.
consider that that was just like all those people who never made it out over all these years. Not shocking is Aes Sedai involvement in these Viridian shenanigans.
At all. I was happy to see Aes Sedai. I was happy to see all the orders and the stones on her chest.
Yeah, so is that the Amerlin? Is that the old Amerlin outfit?
Oh, I wonder.
I assumed it was the Amerlin because later
Huh.
on when we see an Amerlin, she's in all white and she has those stones.
Oh, I didn't even clock that.
Yeah, so I think that's the old Amerlin outfit.
Huh.
Much more subdued than the current one.
How do you feel about that? The simplicity of it.
I can appreciate it. I can appreciate that they're so powerful that they don't even need to do all this extra stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that the Amerlin isn't necessarily seen as like a type of queen.
Right. More like a druid lady. So, if you had to be the Emerlin, which era would you choose to dress in?
You know the answer to
I
that.
know, I know. I just had to see your reaction.
I would do the Suan Sanche full on golden headdress and cape. You know
Tanya
I
did
would.
everything but scoff at me just now.
You know which one I'm gonna choose.
That would be your travel wear.
She uses the sangreal, this little white glowing orb that
Hmm.
she placed in the tree, removed from the tree, and then later placed in the tree. And that's what brings up all these glass columns and starts this whole trial.
Yes.
She tells us the prophecy that we've been hearing this whole time about the Kara Karn, and she calls the Aiel oath breakers.
Oath breakers.
What is the oath? Dun, 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 dun.
What is the oath? To follow the way of the leaf?
Yeah,
To follow the way of the leaf.
yeah, that's what we learn later.
And to find out that this is what they were supposed to do, to go from like to have your understanding reversed. To be like, oh no, 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 no. They're fighters now, but once upon a time,
They're the original Tuatha An.
exactly. And so now you understand why um they're not allowed to kill them. Like they
Hmm.
leave them alone, and even though they think it's shameful for them not to defend themselves, they're not going to let other people, if they can help it, take them out.
So we see another Vision Rand ancestor in the past who kills some people, some bandits, to save his sister and his friend's sister. He and a friend go kill them. And then they're disowned.
Because they broke the oath
They broke the oath,
not to
but
shed blood. Because what is it, like, not to make a weapon? Um,
they don't use weapons.
yeah,
They
they don't
don't
use what,
kill,
and they don't kill.
not even in self-defense.
And the only way, like the way of the spear that they used was like, oh, this could be used to put food into the pot.
Right.
Like this is a tool, not purely a weapon, where a sword is purely a weapon. Like, have you ever heard about people using a sword to hunt, Tanya?
I would love to.
Off to the hunt! Bring my sword!
But we
Ah.
get like the beginning of some of these traditions. She
Mhm.
tells him, "Who are you, stranger, to call me mother?"
Oh
And to cover
man.
your face. And then we learn like before the Aiel kill, they cover their faces.
Hmm. And shame. It's not just to be anonymous, it's to carry the shame of your past. But you also see the way of the thons and say that, like, even though the girls were kidnapped and clearly raped and brutalized, Like they were just going to live like that. Like they
Yeah.
had resigned, like this was their future, this is their new life.
And they weren't grateful to be saved.
No, they
They
weren't.
were like, "Oh my God, you killed him." I gotta
Like
say,
he's like, I'm scared. I don't want to run away. And that part I'm like, okay, I'm too scared to run. I get it, but like y'all came here to save me. Like give me that sword. I'm going to kill him.
I cannot live with the way of the leaf. It is not for me. I think had I been that sister, I would not have told mom that he killed somebody. I would have
Yeah.
that could have been our little secret. I would
Mm-hmm.
have been happy that he came and got me.
Yep.
I'd love that he was like, "Fuck that noise. I'm gonna go get my sister."
Exactly. Exactly. That's
I
what I'm
loved
saying.
it.
It's like,
Because he wasn't malicious. He doesn't want to be a killer.
no. And once it happened, they were all like, "Oh no!" Like blood
Yeah,
has been spilled. Like they were all terrified, but they were prioritizing the life of these women over theirs.
and I can
Like
respect that.
I can too, but like I would have really wanted my brother to like hold him down so I could kill him.
Yeah, but that's why we don't follow the way of the leaf.
Yeah,
Follow the way of the dagger.
like all the way. We choose violence always,
Choose
darling.
violence.
Violence. Uh, yeah, no, I would have wanted to take him out myself. Like I'm thinking Sansa. I'm
Mhm.
thinking like Arya's list.
Moiraine's little shady self takes the sangreal out of the tree, and I feel
This
like that
bitch.
we're gonna have some problems because of that later.
Like, why are you doing that? To me, I see this sangria in the tree, and I'm like, oh, this is like the heart of this thing. This is a source of power. It's not for you. Leave it alone. Or go put it back.
We know later that it's the most powerful sangreal in the world,
Yeah.
and that's obviously why she wants it to use it in this fight.
Mm-hmm.
But it just seemed like a really bad idea to be removing something for Rudian. Not
Yeah.
like it's that other dead city where
Right,
those
right,
things are like
right.
cursed and haunted,
The
but
shadows and stuff.
yeah, but that this is sacred in a way.
It seems like this orb magic um is just like it's old and it feels like there's like an origin story to it that we may, I hope, actually find out. But it makes me wonder, like, is this something that's strong enough to negate the powers of the Sword of Kalendor, or like the cuff and the collar when they find it? Because they're gonna find the collar.
Well, when they talk about Kalendor later, Kalendor is essentially the brother to this one.
Mm.
So this one was called Sarkarnan, and this is the women's one, and then Kalendor is the Tangriel, I think they're called, the men's ones. And so it's like
Mm.
kind of like brother and sister items. I wondered if this was the sangreal that Lanfear was talking to Rand about, although she said it was one that could be used by both men and women. And this one was supposed to be for women. But I wondered if Lanfear was talking about this in the hopes that Rand would find it. And was she manipulating him and saying she
Mm-hmm.
wants it to, break out of her oaths? Or does
Yeah.
she want it to just like win this war?
What should be wild to me is using this thing to like break your oaths, because it seems like it would be the opposite of that. But also, are we gonna trust anything Lanfear says? Like we talked
Yeah.
about this last time. Like, sure. Tanya always sends me the sure Jan meme. She's like, sure Jan. And I'm like, and then this is one of those situations where I want to just like flick that at the screen.
Sure, Jan.
But such power. Such power. And like, how is she going to keep that safe? Because it just, like, in my head, I'm like, it was safe, and now there's just so much potential for it to fall into the wrong hands. Thanks, Moiraine.
Right.
Thanks.
Right.
Because you're
Like
not
I
going to tell anybody
of course she's not going to tell anybody, and I don't see good coming from this.
at all. At all.
Like
At
what
all.
if Moghedien got her hands on that?
Hmm. Oh my God. I was just
And
thinking about Matt and his sticky fingers, and if they meet up again, him just playing like, ooh, crystal ball.
but like they weren't even thinking about the IEL. So it would have still been safe there. Nobody was
Yeah.
even thinking about going to the IEL. And if
Nobody
Moraine
wants
brings
to
this
go
to
there.
like tear, now we have the two most powerful Aes Sedai weapons
Mm-hmm.
in the same place if she brings it
Yeah.
to Tear.
Yeah. No, see that's
I
so
just see
wild.
chaos.
It's total chaos because like you're saying, nobody was checking for the Aiel in the first place. But here it was protected in this tree called the Tree of Life. And wait, so are you just being your uncle right now? Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Right. In a city that no one can enter.
A city that no one can enter. Like
Or
this was
they
the
or else they
safest
can't
place for
leave.
it. You know, like not everybody comes out and like it was perfectly safe.
And it's been there
Now what
so long that
happens?
not everybody knows it's there.
Mm-hmm. That's and so the thing that I'm wondering is that now that it's out and it was in a place where nobody knows that was there, but now that it's out, can the Forsaken sense it? You know, like it's so powerful. You're like, oh, huh, what is this? Let's go find Rand.
Yeah, I don't know if they can. I don't know if you can sense those tools.
Hmm. Well, I
But
guess
I
if you could,
imagine
they'd
that,
be after them already.
yeah, but they know what it is. They might not know where it is, but they know what it is.
Yeah. And what happens if like Rand dreams about it? What if he like sees it and Rand dreams about it and then Lanfear will be like, oh shit, where did you see
Well,
that?
Rand didn't see it in the tree.
No, I know, but like what if he sees it in the bag and just like, you know how dreams work? Sometimes you just
Yeah.
throw shit randomly from the day in there.
Yeah,
Um,
but I don't think more I don't he didn't see it in the tree. He doesn't know Moraine took it. I don't think she would like leave it out where he could find out. I think she's sneakier than that.
will the wise ones know?
I think they'll find out.
Well, it's not like Maureen doesn't already have a target on her back, so plus two at least.
Avienda's in the rings, screaming quietly.
Screaming. That's
And
terrifying to see
yeah,
somebody like floating and just like one thing to see them floating, like if you came upon that, you'd be like, oh shit. And you know that it's part of the trial, but like nobody said that we would be screaming in these rings.
right.
A silent scream out of someone who you can already see is like and also in distress would make me pee my pants a little.
And Moraine's been through the arches, so she knows how bad it could be.
Mm-hmm.
But they told her if she did not go into Viridian that she would die.
Yep. Do you think that she would have gone if Mullane hadn't spilled the beans?
No. I think that actually I take that back. I think that she would have gone because she'd want to protect Rand.
Yeah.
So I do think she would have gone even if Mullane hadn't said that she had to. But the fact that she wasn't even thinking of going there, that she wanted to go to Tear, and that it was Rand who made the decision,
Mm-hmm.
she had no idea how close she was to fucking up this whole mission. Um, so even if Mullane hadn't told her that she would have died otherwise, I think that
Yeah.
she would have gone in because she wants to protect Rand, and if that means entering the arches again, well then so be it. She's willing to do
So
anything.
yeah. Well, she said that too. She said that like whatever it takes to keep you on your track of your destiny.
She's devoted her life to it, like she said.
Hmm.
We get to see some of Moraine's potential futures, what could have been her future, what could be her future.
None of them in my bingo card, as AK says, involved smashing Rand.
Yeah, I did not see that coming. Um, the fishwife one, okay, that could have been her future had she
Yeah.
not witnessed that prophecy. So I was like, oh, okay, that's where we're going with this. Then we see her as the Amerlin killing Rand, and I was like, ooh, Moiraine as the Amerlin having to kill Rand. Uh-oh. Then we
Hmm.
see her releasing Lan from the bond and bonding
Hmm.
with Rand, and I was like, ooh, this took a turn.
Hmm.
We see Lan on fire, Rand stabbed,
Many
and
times.
Rand killed by Moraine with the power. And so that's like that was a lot of things where I was like, oh shit.
Hmm. Hmm.
The first visions are her killing Rand and being the Amerlin and all of those things.
I
We
feel like she
see,
would hate being the Amerlin though.
yeah, she doesn't want to be in the tower. She wants to go out and do stuff.
Hmm.
The
Eshonai.
next Rand vision, he's Grandpa Rand, And
Rand.
this is sometime after the breaking. They say that the Aes Sedai have killed the last man who can channel, or so they
Mm-hmm.
think,
So they think.
and they no longer want to protect the orb. So is that the broken oath? Not wanting to protect the
Mm.
orb?
Yeah. They all walk away from it. Except for Grandpa Rand and
Right,
grandchild. And
right.
it's just like when
He
I
wants to
saw
complete
him,
the mission, get
yeah,
to the desert, plant this tree, protect it, all of that. That was the mission. He's sticking to it.
he's sticking to it. But everyone else just must have been so tired of everywhere they go being attacked and not defending, like not fighting back, and just watching their numbers be thinned out.
Well,
Um,
I thought when they split up that the ones who left were like the Tuatha'an, basically.
mhm.
That was the beginning of the Tuatha'an. And Grandpa Rand going to the desert is the beginning of the Aiel as we know
Aiel.
them. So oaths are broken in
Mm,
different ways. The
okay,
Tuatha'an broke the oaths in the sense that they stopped protecting the orb,
right.
and the other Aiel broke the oaths as far as keeping peace and the
Mm-hmm.
way of the leaf.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. And I think that here, just like with Rand's sister in that vision of the past, uh, for me, I was like drawing a parallel with here's this child who's like, oh no, I'm gonna go with my grandpa because this is the way. I'm not gonna break my oaths. Like, you know, these are deep set
At this
indoctrinations.
at this point, the oaths are so old, do people remember what the oaths exactly are?
Mm. Rand's grandpa does.
He knows,
Grandpa
yeah,
Rand
he knows
does.
he has to protect this tree, but does he know about the oaths of peace that we see later on?
I love that peace keeps coming back to it too, because when Rand touched the tree, he was like, it feels so peaceful. He's like,
Mhm.
and Tanya knows I'm a tree hugger. Like I felt trees.
Literally.
Literally, I will hug a tree. Um, there's a tree in my old park that I really, really love. Like me and it had such a special connection. And every time I went to walk my dog, there was like this hollow or just like indentation. I would always put my hand on it and I would just like feel the energy of life. And then I'd go around and then I went back after all the lockdowns have happened and it was gone. They cut it down. And I should have known they were going to cut it down because James was like, this tree is sick, Nikki. And I was like, I know, but look at how cool it is. We talk to each other. And he's like, it's not going to last long. And I was like, okay, but it's here right now. So to see that this tree is an instrument of peace, like, where does it come from? It must, in my mind, it must come from the orb. Like, the orb is a big part of this.
Well, in the next vision where it's like pre-breaking, there's like a bunch of those trees that are
Yeah.
being sent out. So I don't think the tree itself was.
I feel like the trees are being sent out as decoys, whether they realize it or not.
Hmm.
You know, like it's cool to have one, remember where you came from, remember home. But nobody, maybe people, maybe they don't even know that they're going out with decoys. They're just going out to spread love the Brooklyn way.
Well, they make this promise to protect it. What do you think about the fashion, the pre-breaking fashion? It's so futuristic, everything black and white,
Everything black
so
and white,
structured.
so structured. I love the carriage.
I
The
wondered about
carriage.
that
I was like,
because,
that seems like advanced metalwork, right?
well, not just that, but in the first season, I believe, when we get that flashback to pre-breaking
Mm-hmm.
before they've fought the Forsaken and trapped them and all of that, we see like flying ships and shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is after they've had to kill all these male channelers. The technology at this point must have been breaking down, because why are they have horse-drawn carriages? Even if the
Yeah.
carriages themselves are futuristic, why
Yeah.
are they horse-drawn? Like, are the Aiel slash Tuatha'an, were they like Amish?
I was gonna say anti-tech.
So I wondered
Yeah.
about that. Like, why didn't just like hop in cars
Hmm.
and drive off?
Maybe that was their way of, keeping to a simple lifestyle, like the
Yeah,
Amish.
that's what I'm
So,
saying. Maybe that's what it
yeah.
is, because previous Rand also talks about harvesting the wheat by
Mm-hmm.
hand and how like it just feels good to do that. So
Yeah,
I wondered if that's why they had horses because we know that their technology was way advanced because
right.
even in season 2 Landfair's like, ugh, horses, is there a worse way to travel, you know?
Yeah,
So
I
we know
forgot
like they
about
were,
that. Yeah.
yeah, like we know they were not using horses as like a regular thing to get around.
Yeah, yeah.
We also get Landfair's previous name, Mierin,
Mierin.
Mierin Sedai. I forgot that she was an Aes Sedai.
I don't even know if I like remembered that or like knew it
Well, I
initially.
think all of them were. All of
Oh,
them were Aes Sedai because it was male and female.
right. Okay, that makes sense. Um, yeah, and still powerful no matter what era you get her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to hear her talk about it, she's like, "Oh, it's such a big day.
I found this thing,
I
the
found
thinnest part
this
of the
thing.
pattern.
Like, we're gonna try to reach this power." I'm like, "Well, so this is like your fault."
Well, yeah,
Huh.
they said that it's her who broke the Dark One seal.
Yeah.
It's just like the
Wild to see
timeline of it
that
all.
and then for Rand to break it later.
Yeah. Well, he didn't break the Dark One seal. He broke Ish Ishamael's seal.
Yeah. Got a bunch of seal breakers here. Cherry poppers.
I kept trying to think about what the timeline was for the pre and immediately post breaking stuff. I really couldn't figure it out.
Hmm.
Lanfair was talking about accessing this great power.
Hmm.
And so I'm assuming this must be post heartbreak,
Yeah.
pre full on breaking.
Hmm.
But then when we see that orb in the sky collapse and the sky break open, was that us
Oh
witnessing the
my
literal
God.
breaking of the
I
world?
think it was. I think it was. I mean, the Death Star came crashing down, and then suddenly the sky is being torn apart.
So was that the Dark One's prison? That big orb?
Um,
Like what was that thing?
yeah, we never get an explanation for that. But I also thought that, wait, when they, I have to go back in my head. So was that orb in the sky when Rand Ancestor and Lanfear were watching the people bring in the harvest?
Yes.
Okay. Because part of me was like, oh, are they in the orb looking down? But I guess not.
No,
So yeah,
they
no,
were under it.
I think we witnessed the breaking. That was it. You let the dark one escape, and then poof, the world literally comes crashing down all around you. Um, in the anime that I like, Bleach, there are different realms, and sometimes when somebody's really powerful, they have these like spirits called hollows, and you can see them like pulling the sky apart and coming out, and you see the land where like all of them live, and sometimes they can get through. Um, and it reminded me of that. I'm like, well, you look up, you're like, well, this can't be good.
Yeah.
And where are you gonna run when like there's a literal hole in the sky? And
Right.
my question is, what's going to come out of that? You know?
So this is what I mean about my confusion with the timeline. It's immediately after this conversation with Lanfear, with Mier and Sadai, that we see the orb come down and the sky break open.
Mm,
So how long after that was the Amerlin giving the orb to the Aiel
yeah,
to take away?
yeah. Okay, I see what you mean by your confusion of the timeline.
Because at that point, they're talking about Lanfear freeing the Dark One, so that's already happened.
Hmm.
So had the world broken yet? It had to have, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
So like was it
at
like a
that point,
slow breakdown in technology? I thought like a whole bunch of people like I pictured it as like a straight up apocalypse.
right, cataclysm, poof, people are just dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, but it would make sense that the Aes Sedai is like, hey, take this and be gone. And only one of you gets the one with the actual thing in it. You know, we need it to. That's why I'm like, okay, these are decoy trees. go spread around the world.
I feel like the trees were something else though. I didn't feel like the tree and the orb were really related. I felt like that
Mm.
was like a coincidence or just a convenience.
I feel like somehow they're tied together.
Hmm.
It's like when a leader of a country leaves, and they've got like several cars going out with it. You never know which one it is, or when Air Force One takes
But
off.
like he didn't even know he was gonna get that though.
That's the point.
So why would anyone even know that it was put in a tree if nobody even knew she was gonna give it to him? Because even her keeper who was with her had no idea she was gonna do that.
Hmm.
So why would anybody like looking for these trees? Why would anybody even need decoy trees if nobody knew until that moment that she was even gonna do this?
Maybe she was a seer.
Who?
The Aes Sedai who gave the tree and the orb. If you know, and it's not
I
spoilery, tell us in the
have a lot of
comments.
questions. I have a lot of questions about the breaking now. This just like opened up more questions for me because once I saw the sky collapse, like, how do you go back to work? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's true.
So what
That does
happened
make it hard.
after that? I would have thought the sky collapsing would be like that's it, like that's the end, and now everything goes to shit. But it seemed like that happened. They trapped the Forsaken, and then what? Then
Yeah,
then what happened?
yeah,
For them to be pushed back thousands of years technology wise. What happened next? If the sky collapsing didn't do it, like what happened after that?
yeah. What else needs to happen after that? Do you just give up? You're like, okay, fuck this. Gather your family and loved ones and let's all breathe and exhaust.
What would you do? You're sitting at home, working from home, your current job, just
Hmm.
chilling, getting your work done. You hear this huge cracking sound, and you look out the window, and the sky is falling.
As I'm doing right now. Like, I don't know. I mean, you know how long it takes for me to get my cat in a carrier. Anyone who has a cat knows how long it takes to get a cat in a carrier. So maybe I would die trying to rescue my cat, but like where do you go? Do
Yeah,
I just like jump turnstiles and go hide out underground in the subway tunnels?
I
Do I
wouldn't.
knock down on the building a couple of doors down that I know is a fallout shelter from World War II? Like,
I would go pick my kids up from school and just go back home.
you might not even make it there.
I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna be
See?
like, well, they're at school. I guess they're all right. Like, I'm gonna go get
FDK.
them. Do you remember when the sky turned orange
I
from the
wasn't here.
wildfires? Oh, you weren't here?
Yeah, I was too far
Oh,
north
so
and I
you have
didn't
no
notice it till I
idea how
came back
bad it
down.
was.
I just saw it on the news, yeah, and my brother sent me videos of from wildfires when he was in LA. But that day, I was in Massachusetts for a funeral.
Mm.
But it wasn't until we were driving back down that suddenly like we had to like stop with everything because there was ash coming in the car and like I had to stop driving because my breathing was starting to really suffer because baby lungs.
It was so scary looking how orange the sky was. It was like
Hmm.
dark and orange. And I wanted to go pick my son up from school. And his dad was like, let's wait. Let's not go get him because it might be worse for him to be walking through this.
Hmm. Hmm.
And he made me wait it out. And it did clear up enough for us to like go get him. I think we just brought a mask.
Yeah.
And then I wore a mask and went to the liquor store because that's exactly what I'm gonna do when the
Yeah.
world is
Yeah.
ending. I'm gonna pick up my kids. I'm gonna go to the liquor store.
Maybe I leave my cat and go get 3 boxes of wine and a bottle of bourbon.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sky is broken. I mean, I don't want to go outside. It's like the day that I finally start eating everything in my freezer.
I know I go through my pantry and finally cook all
Like
those beans.
exactly. I'm like, I'm grateful that I have like beans and tuna and like canned stuff. Because I don't want to go out there. And also, like, we live in New York City. People would be wilding out.
Bruh.
Oh my God. Like I live next to an elevated subway train and I could just see people tap dancing on the roof of that bitch. Just like all the crazies coming out.
Everyone would be out buying toilet paper.
Uh, not soap.
Not soap, just toilet paper and hand sanitizer. No soap.
Uh, I would go rob a dollar store or a beauty supply store for their press-on nails, though.
Just stay home doing your nails,
Fuck yeah.
watching the
And
world
hair.
end.
And hair.
Mm, yeah. Might as well be cute when it goes down. Well, Rand is marked on both arms. He gets the
Double.
dragon tattoos, the boy with the dragon tattoo.
Yeah, where'd you get that metallic ink, bro? Like, I want
Isn't that
some.
crazy?
Hmm.
Avienda wakes up. She's done with her trial. And she's like, I'm going back to the tents. You coming?
Was she even really like that? She was like, oh, fuck. You're here too, was more of the vibe. Like, oh, and I'm looking at your arms and it has been confirmed. Do I have to respect you now?
I understand now about the swords. And she's like, oh, really?
No, but he's like, I understand enough to know that I don't understand. And he
Yeah.
said this a couple times, He was like, I don't know everything.
That
Yeah.
was very mature of him, I thought.
He's on his adventure. But I felt that even now that we've talked about this, like whether or not he was annoyed at Moiraine in the beginning might have more to do with like, I'm trying to find my own way. And you're just adding to the chatter in my head. You're not helping. Like you have helped me, but in this moment currently, you are not helping because I'm trying to sort through these things in my own mind. And no, I don't know everything, but there are things that I'm going to have to learn on my own.
But after he has all these visions, now he doesn't want to leave without her. So do you think he's
Hmm.
going to have a newfound appreciation of all she's been doing for him?
If he doesn't, it was a waste of time.
In any case, I'm just wondering what his interaction with her will be going forward, especially considering he didn't want to leave without her and carried her out.
Yeah. I wouldn't have left without her either, though.
No,
No, because I feel like, how do you look Lan in the face again?
it was her trial.
I know, but how do you look him in the face knowing that you could have gone back to get her and you didn't? Like that's not something that I could have lived with. Like,
But would Lan have known he could even go back to get her? They were doing very separate trials. Who knows if he can enter those rings to get her? I'm assuming he did not enter the ring. She got out herself and
yeah,
was weakened, I'm assuming is what
yeah,
happened.
yeah.
But what could he do if she didn't make it out?
Rand is
Nothing.
not a liar.
Mm,
So
no, but there's nothing he could have done if she wasn't going to make it out of those rings.
yeah,
If he had gone back without her, well then he went back without her. She's still in those rings. Like how long is he supposed to wait?
yeah, yeah. And if she, I mean, and she had to have fallen out on her own to pass it, but he could have just like, how long would he have waited there?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How long could
Yeah,
he wait before you
yeah.
realize she's never coming back out?
Mm.
We saw Muradin tearing his eyes out. Would he have had to see her tearing her eyes out? Let's talk about her deaths.
This
Lanfair fucks her up
every
over
lifetime.
and over and over. And even the one time you think, okay, things are cool between them because they're having sex, Lanfair
Yeah.
starts choking the shit out of her.
Hmm.
Do you think this means she's gonna die?
Maureen?
Yes. And do you think if she's gonna die, that she'll die at Lanfair's hands?
All signs point to yes. I would be very surprised if she didn't. And I'm here for a major character death, you know that.
Like I usually am, but I'm so like I want everyone to survive. I want it to be one of those stories just once. Let everybody survive, all
It
the
doesn't
like
feel like
good
it is that
people.
type of story.
No, it doesn't. I think she's gonna die eventually. I think a lot of them are gonna die. I
Yeah.
think Rand will probably die. Like, I don't know. I haven't gotten to the end of the book, so I
Like
don't
what
know.
happens if Rand dies then? Was all this
Well,
for
maybe
naught?
Rand dies after saving everything,
I'd be
after
into that.
defeating the Dark One.
I'd be into that.
And maybe Moiraine lives long enough to see that happen.
Right. Right. Very possible.
Lanfair fucked her up though. Like just over and over and over. I was like,
It's like
holy
you are
shit,
no
you don't
match for me.
like you don't stand a chance.
Not at all. Not at all.
Like there's moments where she's kneeling to Rand to like follow him.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Mm-hmm.
moments where Rand is kneeling to her. There's when she's like, nobody will follow you, and Lanfear kills her. And it's like Lanfear is in the hall, so like
Yeah.
she's somehow, or maybe that was a potential future where Lanfear is the Amerlin or a powerful Aes Sedai, like powerful in rank, I mean.
Right. I guess that brings her back to her original self when she's, you know, breaking up the world.
I can't imagine watching my death over and over and over, especially if all of them are brutal. Like none of them I get to be old.
Yeah, none of them.
This is horrible.
It's like no wonder the other dude was clawing out his eyes. Like
Yeah.
how many times can you see yourself die? And it's just
But
like,
the men are seeing their past.
oh yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right.
What did he see in his past that made him claw his eyes out?
Probably terrible ancestors.
And I wonder what Avienda sees, or if we'll ever, I don't think we'll
I
even
don't think
find
we'll
out.
ever find out what she saw.
No, I don't think we'll find out what she saw.
No. And I don't think that we'll even get hints of it.
No. But I would like to see her start channeling and to
Hmm.
see what Moiraine thinks about this. The end of the episode, Lan waits, cries a little. Egwene wants to go in and save them, ever the hero.
Ever the hero.
But Rand comes, just like the prophecy said. He comes with the dawn. I was like, look
Hmm.
at that. He comes with the dawn, marked twice. I don't know about him, the part where he's carrying an nearly unconscious Aes Sedai, but I don't think that was part of it. But he comes with the dawn. He's double marked. Boom. We have our Karakarn.
Boom.
So now what? The Shaido will challenge.
Yeah.
Couladin is
Yeah.
not going to have it.
Nope. Do you think that this is like, oh, you did something to my brother while he was in there,
Possibly. I
right?
would think so if I were Couladin.
You know, because you've never been through it. Like other people, they can't tell you what happens in there. But
Right.
I'd be like, he killed my brother. That's how he got out. How could this wetlander have escaped on his own?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I would think if I was Couladin. You went in there and you somehow murdered my brother so that you can claim this title.
Yeah.
I'd ignore the tattoos and find some way to call them fake
Yep. Yep.
and maybe declare myself. How? I don't
Oh, I
know.
would love people to make quick work of him if he did that.
The wise one just rips him in half and they move
Just
on.
like, we bury our dead and we move on.
That's not the rules I live by. I told I told my husband that I want my last words to either be my chest, my bloody chest, my outfit, or avenge me.
Mm,
And like even if it's like I'm 107 years old with surrounded by my great great grandchildren and I've lived this beautiful life, like I want to just whisper avenge me as I go.
you're hilarious.
Wouldn't that be so funny?
I would laugh hysterically.
Wouldn't that be so funny? You're like grandma's like avenge me.
Like you, first of all, you'd be a legend in the family forever after that. And people would be like, but I thought you said she didn't go crazy. Like, what did she see? Where is she going?
Like I
You
thought she was
know?
110. What do you like? Wasn't it natural causes? What is there to avenge?
What is there
They'll
to
It'll be
avenge?
the family mystery for generations.
I love that. I've never thought about mine. Like I thought about my epitaph, which is um last night I had a weird dream, or I had a weird dream last night. I haven't nailed the phrasing, but I would like, and now her watch has ended.
Hmm.
I just want to say that. And now my watch has ended. Dramatic sigh.
Overall thoughts about this episode.
I want to think that I'll watch it again to see what I might catch the next go round. But um overall thoughts, like lots more questions, but I feel like we have been granted context in a way that we hadn't had before.
Hmm.
And I know so much more about the world, and I have more respect for the two thons because the ones that are actually keeping to that lifestyle, like we see what it really means and the risks involved, and that you have to it's like you're constantly renewing your commitment to be like this.
I wonder if they even know that they're Aiel
Mm, I bet they
because
don't.
it's been so long. I don't think they do, and I don't think I don't think the other Aiel know that like the Tuatha are Aiel.
Yeah, but does that mean at some point they're going to be forced to take up their swords and be these people? Like,
Or will the Aiel be forced to put down their spears?
yeah, yeah, could go either
Like,
way.
do they follow as the dragon's army and then vow to put down their swords, their spears?
Aribedium,
What?
Arietium.
Oh.
Just because we didn't call it out today doesn't mean we didn't have a few Sanderson references. Today was more of a if you know, you know vibe.
Well, I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was very meaty and
Mm.
it raised a million questions for me. And I really hope they get answered.
This season?
I don't even know, man. We only have what, 4 episodes left?
4 episodes left.
So we're already halfway through.
I I am excited about this. I did like the episode. Um, I like when we get to just see old magic in these things.
Yeah.
You know, I really like that. I am curious about the breaking of the world. And we haven't, since those, those flashbacks, we haven't, and I guess not flashbacks, but since those scenes, we haven't seen, what society is like in a technologically advanced state. Um, yeah. Yeah. I can't wait for the next episode. I think it'll be fun. I do think we're gonna see Matt and Nynaeve and Min and Elaine. Um, I do think that we have to see Elida and the Amerlin seat. They're gonna have to acknowledge each other and have a chat because if Shuan doesn't acknowledge and recognize the danger that Elida poses, like she's a fucking fool. But I think
Yeah.
she does. So
I think everyone is going to end up in tier. By everyone, I mean the gang,
yeah,
the
yeah,
Two Rivers gang.
yeah.
I think they're all going to end up in tier by the end of the season, maybe. And then next season we get into tier. We'll see.
Mm. What if Rand's daddy is in tier?
Why would he be there though?
I don't know.
I want to know what happened to him. I have a lot of questions, I guess, is the point. I have a lot of questions. And I hope they get answered. I've been Tanya.
I'm always Nikki.
See you for episode 5. Bye. For previous episodes, find us at thousandeyespod.bsky.social. On YouTube, you can find us at 1,000 Eyes in One Podcast. If you'd like to follow us on social media, we are 1,000 Eyes in One on Instagram and Facebook, 1,000 Eyes Pod on Blue Sky, and if you're interested in our speculative fiction book club, follow Wine on an Empty Stomach on Instagram.